I'd like to welcome everybody to our town board meeting. We'll call to order Princetown regular town board meeting at 7:02. Crystal, could you read the roll?
Councilman Zaboldi?
Here.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Here.
Councilman Gray?
Here.
Councilwoman Mora? Here. Supervisor Esposito?
Present. Also present is our town attorney, Gerard Parisi. Invocation. Nancy? I'll stand for the invocation.
Father God, we come before you tonight asking for your wisdom, knowledge, and discernment for those representing us to know your will for Princetown. We ask your peace and unity that only you can give. Thank you for working your will in our town. Bless those who represent us and their families. We pray, as your word says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We declare this for our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Privilege of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public shall restrict their comments to items of town business. Although there is no official time constraint, speakers should be considerate of others so that all interested members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There should be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor. Near the beginning of each meeting, all remarks and questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter in discussion with the person having the floor. Council members may address any comments during a portion of the meeting referred to as council member comments. Privilege of the floor is opened up at 7:05. Greer.
My name is Greer Conroy, and I'm here to advocate for the acceptance, the passage of the natural resource inventory, which I believe was on the agenda for today. And I have a very short speech. The question is, why pass a natural resources inventory? The short answer is local and state law. Princetown Local Law Number 1 of 1975, Section 5, Powers and Duties of the Commission for Conservation of the Environment. Number 3, conducts studies, surveys, and inventories of the natural and man-made features within the town of Princetown. New York State law, and then going to the next point, about state law, the Westchester County Department of Planning in 1997 declared that the natural resources inventory is implicitly required by state enabling legislation for conservation advisory councils, Section 239X, General Municipal Law. And then the second short answer is that the Princetown Planning Board this year extensively reviewed the natural resources inventory and passed it. And then I was hoping that Mr. Parisi might give his opinion. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Greer. Any others? Would you state your name, please?
Hi, good evening. My name is Joanne Cocasoli, and I live over on Rhinex Corners Road. Good evening. I just would like to say that my husband, my whole family has lived here 45 years in our beautiful town, and I truly mean that. It's beautiful. We've enjoyed the peace and the quiet of living in a rural area up until this past summer. It's been nonstop from 7 a.m. until about 6 p.m. Sometimes it's 6. We've even had it on Sunday, 7 days. The backup beeping of construction equipment. And I don't, you hear it beep, beep, beep. But to hear it all day continuously, and I am not kidding you if anybody has heard it and you live out on Rhinex, or close to Rhinex anyway, it's awful. Also, there's the nonstop pounding and drilling. Not to mention, when you get up in the morning, you want to open up your windows, get some of that nice air in before you're going to enjoy a warm day. We have to smell diesel, and we have to shut our windows on that for about an hour, and then the diesel smell goes away. I'm not sure what the plans are for any solar activity in our community, in our town. But I would ask, whatever they are, that they need to be reevaluated. Because it really, it has truly impacted our lives, and not in a good way. I have to say that. Thank you, and I guess that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, James Nelson, Sterling Road, Pattersonville, Town of Princetown. I am here tonight to ask the town board to consider a moratorium on solar in this town. One of the reasons is that in the past month and a half or 2 months, at the fire department, we've had some exposure to what the hazards are of solar. It was under the belief that for the longest time that they didn't really burn and it wasn't a problem. But that has changed. Over the past few years, there's been a lot of solar fires. Amazon started taking them off the roofs because they were burning down their warehouses. So this stuff does happen. We also found out that in the town of Rotterdam, there's a battery storage unit. We didn't know anything about this because it was a town and county project, so we weren't informed of this in the fire department. We finally, after 3 years, had some training and found out how hazardous it was, life-threatening. They said they don't burn. There was 4 fires this year in New York State with battery storage units. So a lot of these people that are here tonight are here because we asked them to come and share their displeasure with the project that's going on 160. The dirt, the noise, the stones in the road, the mud, the fact that they're looking at this garbage.
Yes.
I have people come up and say, how does this happen? How is this allowed? Can't you do anything about it? So the townspeople there really don't like it, but they don't know what to do about it, and they don't have any really place, you could say that come here, but they don't really know about it, so they're not voicing their concerns. But if you were to be around there and talk to those people, you'd find out. I talked to one of the neighbors that lives on 160 above the solar farm. They were not happy at all. In the beginning, they thought it would be okay, but they were really disgusted with it. So I would ask the town to step back, do a moratorium, look at the stuff that's going on, reconsider this, and see if there's something that needs to be changed. The way it is right now. The other aspect of this is from the fire department's aspect, and I know this is not a town thing, but the payment in lieu of taxes for solar farms. So we got a 150-acre solar farm there. The fire department is a protection district for the town of Princetown. We're under contract for Princetown. We get $0 increased in our budget from Princetown to now cover an industrial generation facility. The town gets a payment in lieu of taxes. The tax structure on that place, I don't know how it works, but does it change? Does it go from agricultural to commercial? Apparently it's worth a lot more money now that all that stuff is in there. So I don't know, but throughout the town, any department that has a solar facility in it has a much greater liability now without any compensation to cover the expense of that. And you say, well, what kind of expense? We're going to be looking at probably having to buy different equipment. Trucks are $500 to $1 million. Our building is too small to house this equipment. We're getting this stuff shoved on us, and who's going to pay for it? We have 240 residents in our district. Their tax bill is going to go up to support the solar farm because they're not paying for any of this. It needs to change. Thank you.
My name's Patty Madalitz, and I live in Pattersonville. I live close to the 160 project, and I echo everything that the lady before me that spoke said. I live a considerable distance from it, and I can hear it from my home office window, and it does start awful early in the morning. I'm here to encourage the town board to implement a solar moratorium as well. I did thank you, Crystal, for printing off the little information for the town board. I did submit 15 signatures, mostly people that live on Rhinex Road. These signatures were collected in support of a utility scale solar moratorium in the town of Princetown to update the code. The code may need to be updated to optimize financial benefit to the town and residents. And the code needs to be relative to preserving the rural character of the town, address setbacks, visual impacts, and public safety issues, to include substations and battery energy storage. So there's the signatures from the residents. On the next map that you'll see a map, and you'll see that it shows Sanborn Road and Rhinex Road. I think it's important to implement a moratorium as soon as possible. There are projects in the wings that have not been presented to town board yet. This is a Princetown project that will be coming to your town. The developer just hasn't presented it yet. They're waiting for the Rotterdam moratorium to be over and see what that law is like. Just to give folks a little visual impact, the next map that's in the packet shows the project in the town of Florida. Why am I showing you something in the town of Florida when we're in the town of Princetown, but all the towns come close to each other? That project is in close proximity to the 160 project, and I don't want to misspeak. I believe it's over 600 acres or 680 acres. It's a lot of land. I printed off from the NY Certis site, which is the next portion of your package, the pages that are headed page 1 of 2 and page 2 of 2. This is a copy and paste from the NY Certis site. On page 2 is the link to the NY Certis site that supports the information that's here. Just trying to give folks an idea of how many projects are down the pike. And in Schenectady at the bottom, there's 3 projects. The ELP Rotterdam project, which is slated to be in Rotterdam and across the road, across Rhinex to Princetown. So it'll be a similar situation if it were to happen like what we have on 160, where there's solar panels on 2 sides of the road. There's also, you can see the NY Certis site, Scotch Ridge Solar Project, 20 megawatt. And then, of course, there's the next one on there is the Pattersonville in 19.99. That's the 160. I think the area has done its duty to clean energy already. In the area we have on the Pattersonville dump site, there's a solar field, and maybe part of, if you were to entertain a solar moratorium, siting would be important. It's my opinion that the dump site is probably a great place for a solar field. The land can't be used for anything else. I think that the solar moratorium should be implemented to protect towns from things like the deserted monolith on 5S, which is a solar field that's not producing any energy and it's just laying there doing nothing. Schenectady already has Rice Road. There's a site on Gifford and another one on Putnam. I also included, you'll see an email, and at the top of it, it says solar presentation. I wanted to share this information. I didn't know if your town would be interested. There's a gentleman named Keith Shue and Dennis Higgins who give a really good overview on the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. I got their information from Duanesburg. They gave this presentation to Duanesburg and to Rotterdam as well. It really helped folks that were trying to revamp the solar code to have a better understanding. So the next few pages are just some slide samples of what was included in that presentation. Just really, please consider a solar moratorium. And to Jamie Nelson's point, another thing that's in the packet is I included the worldwide battery energy incidents report. And that documents the 4 battery energy storage fires that were in New York State. And they were from May to July. Our state has so many battery energy storage fires that as you probably know, the governor has implemented a task force. I encourage, at the county level, I've been encouraging that they do a county battery energy storage moratorium until the governor's task force results are out and we have a better idea how to keep our first responders and all of our citizens safe. Thank you so much for letting me speak, and please heavily consider a solar moratorium. Thank you.
Any others?
Good evening, my name is Judy Drizzling, and I live on Lennox Corners as well as some of the others. And I too would like to ask the town to consider a solar moratorium. I am not totally against solar. I would like to see more consideration given as to placement. And I don't know if the town is aware, but already filed with the Schenectady County Clerk's Office, the owner of 3405 Lennox Corners, who owns a significant portion of land, has already recorded a lease at the county clerk's office to lease 3 separate, very large parcels of land to East Lake Partners Solar out of Massachusetts. And this lease was signed back in February in anticipation of being able to move forward with doing a solar project. It's the same owner that wanted to do a solar project a few years ago, and several people here came to speak against it because a lot of the solar array that they're proposing is directly across the street from people's homes, and there is no way to prevent people from looking at it day in and day out because it's a hillside. And the people who live there live above where the solar array would be put in. So please give consideration to a moratorium. Bring in the folks from the town and listen to people and know what their concerns are. Yeah, I mean, personally, if I spoke to the owner of this property, I would say to him, if you're all in favor of it, place a solar array next to your home where you have acres and acres of open land, instead of in front of other people's homes. So it's something to consider for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
What are your concerns on it? Do you have any as a board? My name is Robin Glennon. I live on Rennox Corners, and I've been there for over 30 years, and I live near the property that Alan Potts wants to put his huge solar array. And I agree with Judy. He's got a ton of land. He's got a lot of land, and he should put if he wants solar panels, he should put it around his house and not around across the street from neighbors that have been there for years that's going to be looking at this eyesore and not benefiting from it. And I'm concerned about the fires that could be caused, that could happen, and we're not in any position to put out these type of fires that would occur. So there's a lot of public safety that is concerning, that it doesn't seem like anybody's addressing it. We have a house fire and the house practically burns to the ground. So these are huge concerns. I don't want the solar array near me. I don't want it at all. So I just wonder if you guys have concerns or this. I called up the county clerk over the spring and just talked at length with her about Alan Potts having the solar array, and she said nothing was filed in Schenectady County, but it was in February, so I don't really think the town of Princetown is really on top of what's going on, and that really concerns me. And we're supposed to be a rural area, and this is horrible what's going on. And what's gonna happen in 20 years with this eyesore? Is it gonna sit there and rot, just like the solar array that's on 5S? So, those are my concerns, and I just wanna know what your concerns are and your thoughts, if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Thank you, Town Board. Good evening all. Richard Daly, Town Historian, Town of Princetown, announcing to the board and the public that we are having a Veterans Recognition Evening on November 11th, 2022, where we recognize the wonderful services that the veterans in this town have done for us through the years. We have last year's honor roll that we put up in the town lobby, and myself and Ms. Como talked about sending out email or a notice saying that if you have a family or a veteran or yourself, let us know so we can recognize you that particular evening and put you on the Princetown Honor Roll. Again, it's going to be November 11th on a Friday night, probably early in the evening. And if you know a veteran or want to come yourself, please let us know, and so we can put your name on the honor roll. Thank you for your services, and have a blessed night.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any others?
Richard, do you want to set and announce an official time for that, since this is one of our last meetings before?
6:30, whatever you think is a good time. I guess maybe 6:30, because that gives people to come home and people to, I guess, between 6:30 and 7, I guess. If that works okay.
I'm gonna put 6.
Good enough.
Any others? Okay, we'll close up the public hearing at 7:26. Yeah, I'd like to, at this time, since we've got so many people here, and I know they don't want to stay for the whole meeting, we can open up just for a discussion amongst the board about this solar project. I'll start off with it. When, first off, Lennox Corners Road, they can't put solar up there. There's no power lines there to accept it. From what I understand, where you're talking about this lane, there is no power lines there to accept that. Privilege of the floor are over. At this time, this is what we know about that. When they approached us on this years ago about having a solar law put into place, we put the most stringent solar ordinance in that we could. You have to have at least 100 acres to do this. Anything over 20 megawatts, we have no control over anyway, because the state takes over on that. As that project is in town of Florida, I think it is, Montgomery County, you're not gonna have any say about that, because I guess that's, I don't know, 100 and some odd megawatts. So you're not gonna have any say on what the town law is not gonna affect that at all. But we did put in a solar ordinance for at least 100 acres. There's not many properties left in Princetown that has open fields, that has 100 acres to begin with. There was a project that was approached, part of it was gonna be in Rotterdam, part of it was gonna be in Princetown, up on the other end of Rennox Corners. And they only had 80 acres, and we told them, no, you had to have 100 acres. So they never approached us again. The reason we put 100 acres in, some of our members that discussed maybe 50 acres or 70 acres. We agreed on 100 acres just to stop this from happening. We did not want that. I don't know what they're gonna do in Rotterdam. That's Rotterdam's business. It's none of our business right now, what they do in Rotterdam. But they don't have many open spaces there. And if they did enact a solar ordinance that would probably eliminate anything that they would have left, it would be 100 acres. Like I said, we don't have a lot of property left in Princetown that has 100 acres, that I know of. I don't know, maybe Doug knows of some that has over 100 acres
Up on the other end, up there, yeah.
of open field. And you have to have the power lines to accommodate that. So that's why we put in 100 acres, and to stop this, because we did want to have, keep the characteristic of Princetown as rural. I was never in favor of solar. And you can ask the board here, every member knew that I was not in favor of this at all. The state wants this. 67% of the people in the last election in Schenectady County voted for green energy and all of that. 67% of the people in Schenectady County. I don't know what the vote was in Princetown, but I know 67% of the people under that, whatever that amendment was that they had. But either they didn't know what they were voting for, or they did. I got a feeling they didn't know what they were voting for, a lot of them, and they just think that that was a good thing for green energy. But I'm not in favor of solar. It's out here. We've benefited nothing from it. I would never put it on my house. I can tell you that. I would never put it on my roof, or I don't want to have anything to do with it. One of the reasons is, what are you going to do when it shortens the lifespan of the roof to begin with? And once you have to replace the roof, you have to take it down. I don't know what the savings is on this. I can't see any savings in it. But I was not in favor of this at all. And like I said, we were forced into it. We did put in 100 acres. I would have rather seen 200 acres, but we settled on 100 acres just to limit the spaces that they could do this on. Unfortunately, this project came up that he had like 500 acres of open field. Like I said, I was never in favor of this, and I know most of the town board here wasn't in favor of it, and I can't think of anybody that was in favor of it at the time. But I know Ben wasn't here when we put this local law into effect, and I don't know if you were here or not. Yes. But the rest of the board was here. So we did do what we were supposed to do to try to protect the town with 100 acres. And like I said, I can't see where this is going to happen. We did have one over here, which is a 5 megawatt one. That's up on South Kelly Road, but it's enclosed. Nobody can see it from the road.
That was a good spot for it, no one could see it.
Pardon?
Yeah, no one could see it, that was a good spot for that one.
You can't even see it from where that is, but it's a 5 megawatt. And like I said, if it's over 20 megawatts, the state takes over anyway. We don't have anything to say about
The
it.
state is totally in control. They want it.
Well, that's why we had to do the law to begin
Wants
with,
it.
because they would have come in and they would have just done whatever we wanted if we didn't have anything in place.
So I have a question.
No, the floor.
Yeah, oh, you can, okay.
So that's why we put this into effect. Now, Ben has got something he wants to say.
So I know that the state can step in when it's over 20 megawatts, but we have control when it's less than that.
Yes, we do.
And all of the projects in town, 2 or 3 of them that we have are less than 20.
2.
2, okay.
No, the one up in there is 20 megawatts.
on 160?
Yes.
That's 19.9. Anyway, they went through the town approval process. So if they have to go through the state approval process, it's much more rigorous. There's a lot more things that they have to follow, and the oversight is better. We just don't have the resources, the money, the people on the staff to adequately monitor what's going on with these projects. Now, that being said, you can see that most residents don't support commercial solar farms. They just don't. And we have,
Before you go much farther, we're not gonna have battery in this town. I've already been approached to that. We are not gonna do that at all. Rotterdam, I know, is gonna put it up on Burdick Street. We're not gonna put battery storage plants in. Everybody can rest assured of that. That's not gonna happen. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to get that out.
so our comprehensive plan stresses overwhelmingly that the residents want Princetown to stay rural. And I know you guys had the best intentions with the solar law, but 100 acres plus puts everything on the north end of town, which is more rural than the south end of town. The exact thing that our comprehensive plan wants to protect doesn't with our current solar law. Now beyond that, these solar farms displace wildlife, they ruin the landscape. I'm sure they're affecting property values, and we'll see that in the future. And they're just causing a lot of harm in the areas that they're being installed. And we don't know what the long-term consequences are going to be. What are we going to do when these projects aren't producing any energy anymore?
If I can answer that, we do have a bond in place that they have to put up to decommission these solar projects. That bond is in effect right now. After 25 years, I won't be around, but some of the
Young
sons
people are
won't
gonna have
be
to
around
live
in
with it.
25 years. And it's gonna be up to the town board at that time to make sure it's done. But there is a bond in place that these solar companies have to put up, even for the 5 megawatt ones, for decommissioning. That's part of our solar ordinance. Go ahead.
So, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, but we have a civic responsibility to represent the residents of the town, not New York State's climate and emissions goals. We're here to do what's best for the community. Now, I understand where New York State's coming from, and of course we should protect the environment and focus on renewable energy. I get all that. But we've got to look at it just more realistically for what the residents of our town want. I don't know about you guys, but my electric bills are already up 100% over the last 4 or 5 years. I'm paying double what I used to, even just 5 years ago. And I brought this up at the last meeting, but NYSERDA is predicting another 64% increase in our energy bills to subsidize this green energy and to subsidize solar. How can we support that? We have residents that are low income, middle income, fixed income. I mean, how do you afford a $700 electric bill? You can't. So the town of Glen and the town of Root, which are in Montgomery County, have had extended solar moratoriums. So they do 6 months and then they've extended it. Now, do they have some big projects there? Probably, but it's state controlled. It's outside of what they can control. With what they can control, they have put a moratorium in place. My mother lives in South Carolina, has Duke Energy as her energy provider, and their primary source of energy is nuclear, which is a good emission standard energy. It's better than solar. She runs her AC 24/7 and she's getting $170 electric bills. I'm not using my AC and my electric bills are $300-400. I can't support that. I support the moratorium to put a stop on at least what we can control. Upstate New York, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful places in the United States. We live in just a wonderful area, our rural community and the Adirondacks and everything. Drive by the Thayer Road project. It's metal, just for acres and acres and acres. It's just metal, which is not what upstate New York, in my opinion, should stand for. We're ruining that rural character, and like I said, I can't continue to support these solar projects. And I think that was everything I had here. So I support the moratorium, and if not this meeting, next meeting, I'm going to make the motion for it, and I hope at least 3 of you will join in. We've got to tweak our solar law to reflect what our residents need.
What would you like to do with the solar law?
Same thing as I said last time. Don't split it between opposite sides of the road. That's an unconventional thing with solar. Most of them are on one side of the road. You can't really build solar on a hill, which that 160 project is. So I'd like to see a restriction on that. And the soil composition is mostly sand and rock, which is not conducive to a successful solar project either. It's all the same things that I brought up at the last meeting. So I'd like to see in our solar law something that's a little bit more restrictive. And yes, we can control anything under 20. Some of these towns have had moratoriums for an extended period of time. and we could do the same thing. I get that over 20 the state steps in, and we can't control that, but we should control what we can. So, I support it, and at the next meeting, I'm going to make the motion for a moratorium on solar. And I hope that 2 of you at least will join me.
Yeah, when we originally, our rationale for the solar law was pretty simple. We did a rough analysis statistically of the properties that, that would have 100 acres and access to power lines so that they could actually put these in. And that was extremely limiting. That's why we wrote the 100 acres. What we did not want was small projects that could go on 20, 30 acres, because that would have turned this whole town into a Christmas tree with these things all over the place. We chose the 100 acres because that was a very practical number. Beyond 20, the state has, it's not eminent domain, but it's exactly the same thing. The state has carte blanche. There is nothing anyone can say. County, planning board, town, neighbors, nobody. The state wants this. The 100 acres, we figured out the 100 acres was going to be a number that we would have very few projects. And I still believe that's going to be the case, because you have to have 100 acres. It has to be buildable for solar, and it has to be near access to power lines so the solar can be fed in to the grid. And that's extremely limited. And when we did our project, that's how we did it. Now, you know, from an idealistic point of view, I'm not a big fan of solar, never have been. I'm not a big fan of wind, never have been. But this is the state of New York, and they are. And the odds against large projects are tough, very tough. And in fact, no local government can stop them over 20. Can't be done. And by the way, talk about $400 bill for your electric, you'll be wishing that. You're going to see $1,200 and $1,400 electric bills coming soon. And that's going to happen when the federal government gets their way and everybody's driving electric cars. Because you ain't seen nothing yet. They want the entire energy process in the country to be electric. I don't. I think, personally, I think solar's a pipe dream, wind's a pipe dream, nuclear, hydrogen, those are the power sources of the future, and even natural gas, much better power source. But, again, this is where we are.
You got something you want?
Yeah, I agree with Jim 100%, which is why I don't understand why, with what we can control, why we don't put a stop to the solar that we can control. Because you're right, if New York State was set on climate goals and protecting the environment, it would be nuclear and hydrogen and natural gas, not these
The problem
huge solar
is,
farms.
if you go too far, you subject yourself to litigation. If it becomes an unreasonable point. So if a contractor comes in and says, this is ridiculous, this is unreasonable, then we could subject ourselves to litigation. If somebody's saying, you're preventing me from doing this project in an unreasonable way. And we didn't want to go down that road either. We thought about this. There's a lot of thought went into this 100-acre thing before we enacted it.
And I don't doubt that, but this is the consequence. You know, there's unintended, I get that your intention was good, I don't disagree with that. I understand totally why you guys passed the solar law that you did, but this is what most of the residents want. And we have a duty to the best of our ability, do that.
Well, there's one other duty, and I didn't want to bring it up because nobody's going to like to hear this, but the reality is, we have a fiduciary responsibility to every taxpayer in this town. So if somebody's paying taxes in this town, and we prevent a project which will provide $1 million, which is what some of these projects do provide over their lifetime, then we've essentially not done our fiduciary responsibility to our taxpayers either. So we had to consider that. And like I said, a lot of thought went into this. This was not capricious. and arbitrary. We thought about this a long time before we formulated these rules.
I might add to that, we don't have a town tax, I know that was stated over there, we do not have a town tax. What we're getting on this in lieu of taxes, we're getting a payment from them for $35,000 when this goes online.
A year,
A
for
year.
30 years.
For 30 years. And since we don't have a town tax, I mean, everybody thinks we have a town tax, but we do not have a town tax. We have a water tax, and the taxes from the fire department are, as a matter of fact, we don't even have anything to say about the fire departments anymore because they're a,
Commission district?
Homeland
Security?
they're part of the commission district now. Pattersonville is a part of the commission district, which sets the tax rates for the people in Princetown. Just like Pine Grove, they're a part of the commission district, and they set the taxes for the residents down here. We're in there. Pattersonville has part of Princetown in it, they set the tax, the commission district sets that tax. They weren't part of the commission district at one time. They were a fire district, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're a commission district. So the commissioners set the tax rates for the towns. We do not set the tax rates for it. We did have it for Plotterkill, they're part of the commission district now too. So we have nothing to do with the taxes that the commission district sets. So, and rest assured, we're not gonna have batteries. People have called me about this, and I've told them point blank, not under my watch anyway, and I don't think anybody on this town board wants a battery plant anywhere, or a battery storage facility. That's not gonna happen. I can tell you that. I'll never support it. I can't say for the rest of the board, but I can tell you this, I will never support that.
We've been budgeting, you guys, some of you guys have been here a while, decades. How long have you been on the board?
Since 2004.
Okay. We have always had really good budgets every year. Most of the time, if not all the time, there's a surplus. You guys have done over the years an excellent job with our town budget without solar money. So I get that the extra 30,000 is nice, but you haven't needed it for the last 50 years, 60, however long there's been no town tax. I don't think that little bit of money that we get over 30, 35 years is worth the destruction to those properties on the north end of town. Now, what if a battery storage came in and said, hey, we'll pay you $50,000 a year if you let us put this
We're
in?
not putting that.
So why are we doing that with solar? If they come in and say, we're gonna pay you 60 grand a year to put battery storage here, why not, if it's a fiscal decision?
It was never a fiscal decision, but we do have a fiduciary responsibility to every taxpayer.
So if a battery
It's
comes
our
in and says,
obligation.
we're gonna pay you 50,000 a year to do our battery storage here, that is the right fiscal move
No,
wrong
no,
for
it
the
is
town.
not. It's not. I mean, it was never based, that was one small factor. But the reality is, Princetown's solar law is one of the most prohibitive in the state of New York. You name me one other town that requires 100 acres.
They just did one in Colony over here, which doesn't have hardly any acres, and it's only 5 megawatts, and they're gonna put solar in there. He was on TV, the supervisor, saying that we're gonna put solar in over there on a small project in Colony, which does not have any land. They could have certainly put a large amount of acreage in there, and it could have stopped it completely, but they didn't.
Their community probably supports it more than our community.
I doubt that.
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure there's more support in those areas than here.
And the state of New York is really, they're hell-bent on putting up big ones. That's why they've got that 20-acre deal. I mean, the 20-megawatt deal. Beyond that, all bets are off. Nobody's got anything to say about anything. Zoning, town, this, that, forget it.
Home rule is done.
It's not eminent domain, there's another name for it, I don't remember what it was, but it's very similar to eminent domain, which basically says, we do what we want. Doesn't matter what anybody else wants. That's what the state's gonna do.
And I might add, you can only put a moratorium on for so long, am I correct, Gerard? You just can't keep putting a moratorium on every 6 months. You just can't keep doing that.
I called town of Glen and town of Rue. I'll ask what they're doing. I'll talk to them.
Can we keep doing that, Troy?
They're not intended to be permanent. You gotta address, I mean, my thoughts hearing you all talk was, rather than waste your time on a moratorium, which there's no pending applications, put your efforts into getting a group together, figure out what changes you want to make, and propose a new local law with your changes. You gotta go through the whole public hearing anyway, so.
Right, well, usually.
I'd rather have the public hearing for your changes.
Yeah, don't they usually put the moratorium in, work on those changes in the
Yeah,
meantime?
but
and
there's
then
no pending application. You can always put a moratorium if you need it, but.
There will be.
So, but you could have the law passed before anybody even puts in an application. If you just get to work, next meeting, you could have a proposed local law for the changes. Just do that. You don't even need the moratorium. Just put your changes.
You can't keep a moratorium going forever.
You can for a while.
Well, how long are you gonna wait to get us the changes that you wanna make? Let's just
I've
do
already
it.
told you what I want.
Well, I know, but you gotta write them down and put them
Yeah,
in
but I'm not a
organized.
lawyer. I don't know the
Look,
technical.
they all may have changes. I can get it, maybe, who's gonna come up with the changes that you want? Just you, or are you gonna get a group of people? You know, get it done.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of people going to.
Yeah, so just get the changes and present the changes. Let's have a public hearing on that. Why bother with the moratorium? Just get your
You
changes
gotta have a
in.
public hearing for a moratorium.
Exactly.
That's
So
fine.
if we gotta have a public hearing anyway, let's just do the changes you want. But I don't think anybody has any problem looking at potential changes. If you make it more restrictive, you make it more restrictive. I don't think anybody on this board cares. Let's just
I don't
make
care if
it.
you wanna make it more restrictive. I told you, I didn't want the solar to begin with.
Yeah, I agree.
Theoretically, you could have, I would think you gotta work with Doug Cole to some extent to get something written up. Work with them, Doug Cole, get something written up, propose that, let's propose that. Public hearing. If for some reason an application comes in, you want, we need to do a moratorium, we can do that too. That's just an extra step.
Okay, so if an application came in, the moratorium wouldn't be too late.
No.
Went through the planning board and all that.
No, we already got one pending on something else. Home occupation,
Right.
home occupation.
And that came in after the fact. We're not
After the fact,
into the
that's what we're gonna
details,
do
but
now. We're gonna put a moratorium
you
on
can
it.
do it that way.
But you gotta have a public hearing to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be community support if we did. But, okay.
I just think if you save yourself the time, rather than two public hearings, let's just have a public hearing.
Yeah, but a
Changes
month
you wanna
is,
make.
you know, short in politics to come up with a brand new law.
Yeah, but it doesn't change, in other words, it doesn't prohibit us
Yeah.
from making those changes.
I mean, if you can't, you don't have it in 30 days, you need to do a moratorium, we'll do more, you can put a moratorium at the next meeting. But I just think your efforts are better spent getting the changes that you want than moratorium.
Yeah, I just thought it was moratorium, make the changes, come back, change.
You normally moratorium, there's an application pending,
Okay.
it's more urgent of a need.
Okay, I
Or if
understand.
you know one's about to be filed, but you're not really supposed to do it just to stop the project.
That's why I wanted
But I
to
not
consider.
that that's what this is.
Yeah.
Do they need a resolution for him to start a committee and?
If you wanted to do it, the point.
Can't you just get together the ZRC? Isn't that what they're for?
What's that?
Can't you just get together the ZRC? Isn't that what they're for?
Yeah.
They're all zoning people, so they'd be able to help.
We're gonna have to okay it anyway. Town board is gonna have to vote on change, any changes.
I didn't know if you wanted to have other members of the public be part of this committee to
Well,
come up with the
they can
changes.
come to those meetings. Public people can go to the ZRC meetings, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay. So people want to just be there to listen to what they're talking about and what's going on.
Yeah, but what about participating?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
You got anything?
I do agree with Ben that I think, I mean, I agree with Gerard, you know, might as well just get everybody together and make the changes, but I do think changes do have to be made. And I agree, when we did it at the time, we did do it as restrictive as we could, but then, you know, with the 160 project, you know, all the problems did arise that I don't think anybody actually anticipated happening, and it was unintentional. I mean, everything was supposed to go according to the plan and the law, but then like Ben saying, you know, on the other side, having on two sides of the road, I don't think we intended it to end up being an issue the way it is, and what were you just saying, how it's on the hill and so on?
You did have public hearings at the time too.
Oh, I know.
It was open for the
Oh,
public.
I know, it's just, I just don't think
Not like you did it in secret.
No, I know, I think everything.
Nobody showed up
same
for the
thing-
public hearing, I might add, when we.
So I
had
don't
this
think
law.
anybody planned on it, like at the time, it seemed like, okay, solar law, everything's fine, but then now that it's in, and everyone's seeing what happens. So I do think like if it can be made more restricted to make everybody, try to make as many people happy. I mean, I know we did it as restricted as we possibly could and tried to do what we could, but, you know, if we could tweak some things, like you said, with the soil or, you know, not having it on a hill or something, where, you know, at least people could have it on their property. It's just then you can't put it in certain spots.
And bear in mind, none of this was done in a vacuum. We were guided by a special solar attorney from Buffalo who helped guide us building the law. It wasn't like we did this, you know, in a little back room here in town, Princetown. We had professional help designing that.
You know, Doug left us.
I guess so.
Nope.
Okay. So we will look at the law again and see if we can make any upgrades to it and do what we can. I might add that Rotterdam is going through this. I don't know what they're gonna do with their town law. You know, I'm sure they let that battery storage facility go in on Burdick Street, which is right next to housing developments, which I don't understand, but that's up to them. You know, it's not our concern. But rest assured, I'm opposed to these battery storage facilities. I already looked into it, and I am against it completely. You know, like I said, I think the rest of the town board is against it too. So, all right. Moving on then. I don't know if you want to wait for Doug and he's got it. Highway, Nick, you're up.
Thank you all.
I'm sorry. Thank you for coming. I hope we addressed your needs. I hope we addressed all your
Thank you.
concerns.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Okay. Did you have any, excuse me, Nick. Did you have any comments on this? Okay. Okay, department committee reports. Nick, you got anything?
Just a couple of people called me with their driveways. The one guy down on Normansville called me, the place up the street there where the disabled kids are. They're racing up and down the road, the employees. He wanted to lower the speed limit, and I told him that would take an act of God, because it's 30 miles an hour now. But basically, he got a hold of the troopers, and I guess they're gonna get a car there and start giving out tickets, which will slow
That's
it
on
down.
Norman still?
Yeah, that was on Norman's skill. And the guy called me on Vernon and said his culvert, he was worried about his culvert pipe, and I went and looked at it, but it was fine. The only other thing is Route Drive, which I gotta get on. With the last storm we had, and the last storm we had, the storm before that washed the road out, and the last storm was running out. The county went there and fixed it, but they didn't fix it. So we gotta work on that. But outside of that, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a mess. I was up there the day of the storm. In fact, during the middle of the rain, took a ride up and down. It was pretty bad.
Well, Dougie cleaned it the first time. The county did what they did, but they didn't block the water from coming out into the road. I don't know why. So, we gotta decipher where our property line is so we can stop it all.
We gotta get the property line and go from there.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Any questions for Nick, Ben, Jim? No. Nicole?
No, I'm good.
Doug? Okay. Water. Town of Princetown Water District Report. This is from Rick Rourke. September 2023, gallons pumped 2,239,400, maximum daily use 117,100, minimum daily use 37,500, daily average 74,600. We had the following water main breaks, leaks. 9/27, water main break on 301 Birchwood Drive, Larned repaired the break that night. Special thank you to Nick Moore for his time and equipment in helping to do the repair. Doug was there. I stopped in for a short time to see it, but Doug was there for the whole night. And thank you, Nick, for Larner didn't have his equipment handy to do that, but Nick brought his backhoe over and stayed there till the project was done. Dug the ground up for the repair to be made. Thank you, Nick.
And vouchers are available.
I gave them each
Okay,
one.
please submit those vouchers. We don't want you working for nothing. We don't want you burning your diesel for nothing. We appreciate everything you guys do. We couldn't function without you, so submit the vouchers, please.
Thank you, Nick, for doing that. And I want to thank Doug because he went up on Reuter Drive and spent most of the day up there repairing the stone that was delivered by Larner to fix the road up for the water tank on Reuter Drive. And did you talk with Larner about the?
Yes, I did. He said to get a hold of Dougie. He had to check and see if he had any millings put on the road on top of the pressure run, which would be a good idea.
We're up on Reuter Drive.
Yeah, where you did the crusher run.
Did you do that?
I talked to Timmy today. I got it all out of there, and he said to talk to you, coordinator.
And Doug, make sure you get those
Yes.
vouchers.
Yes,
She's got
I'll
them.
give it to you.
I gave it to him.
Oh, good.
Filled everything
Okay,
out. All
good,
he's gotta
good.
do is sign it.
Good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doug, for doing that
Thank you.
I
too.
spent 5 hours there.
I know you did, and then you were, the
And
water
then I
main
went
break
to
was
the
that
water
night.
main break till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, thank you for doing all that too. We certainly do appreciate it. Okay. Reuter Drive we just discussed. Issues, work done, Settles Hill water tank, chlorinator was cleaned and calibrated by Smith Control. Rebuilt kit was ordered and will be scheduled to be installed. Hydrant flushing and maintenance to be performed. Stake, valve, boxes, and fuel generator for the winter. General maintenance performed. Respectfully submitted. Rick Rohr, Water Commissioner. Any questions on that? None? No?
No, he's doing a good job.
Yes, he is. Doug?
No,
Nicole?
I'm done.
You're up, Ben.
The town hall is going to host a second rabies clinic, November 4th, from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. 10 to 11 cats, 11 till noon is dogs. I guess there was whoever was going to hold it had to cancel it. They double booked or something, so.
It's a polling place, so they
It's
didn't
a poll-
realize they were doing
okay.
early voting in
Right.
Briarville Firehouse,
Okay.
so that they had to.
So when is that?
November 4th.
Saturday,
What time?
10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It is still appointment only, so.
Yes, pre-register. Do you have their
They do.
website?
The Schenectady County contact information, the phone number is 518-386-2818, or you can make your appointment online at www.health.ny.gov/go-to-clinic, and it is free to all Schenectady County residents.
So what was it, 366?
386-2818.
Crystal. You missed the building inspector's report.
386-2818.
Where? Oh, Cordenfoot. Oh, okay, I see it. I heard her check
It's
that
not
out.
there.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, the building inspector's report from Tom Marine. Total permits 3, permits issued 3. Permits inspection fees collected $233. Building inspections 5, zoning review 1, fire inspection 0, final building inspection 1. Bank deposit $233. Check to supervisor, 0. Check the balance as of October 10th, 2023, $9,082.24. Activity and zoning, 1. Working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit final inspection as needed, reviewing plans as needed. Thomas Marini, building inspector. Any questions, Ben? Jim? Nicole? Doug? Okay. Do we have anything from the court?
Nothing from the court, nothing from the assessor.
Buildings and grounds, the problems we had another problem with our heating and air conditioning system. Apparently, when they put the wiring in for the thermostats that control it, they never put it in conduit. So, unfortunately, the wires rotted out. So they have to come over and dig them up and put new conduit down, put new lines into the building. Jumped the line over here on the one to get it to work. The air conditioning units, all of the new units are in place. And it's going to be coming this week to finish the job over here and check the heating system off for the winter. Nothing is going on over to the state police building over here. Other than that, we're going to have to start repairing, patching the blacktop, which has got many potholes in it. And they haven't complained yet, but I'm sure they're going to. So, other than that, nothing else is going on with buildings and grounds. Any questions for me? Doug, Nicole? Okay. Town clerk, Crystal?
I don't have anything to report other than piggybacking on Ben's report, which I'm sorry, I stole your thunder. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, that's all. That's all. It's been quiet otherwise.
Oh, I did have a call from someone on, I don't know if it was, what road it was on. She didn't tell me. She wants to lower the speed limit on a county road. I haven't had a chance to call her back. We have no control over county roads. That's strictly the county, which have to get approval from the state anyway to do that. The only speed limits we have control over is town roads, which is only 4.5 miles of town road, so I didn't get a chance to call her back yet, but she left me a message.
I wish we had 10% of the authority people think we had.
Yeah, well, we got one that they wanted to lower the speed limit on Route 20. That's a US highway. That's controlled by the feds, federal highway, so, yeah. But anyway. Public hearings, we have none. Resolutions. Let's see, meeting minutes. It hereby resolved the meeting minutes of 2012 regular town board meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Spaulding?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Budget. It is hereby resolved in accordance with the provision of section 106 of the town law and other applicable provisions of the law, the town board of the town of Princetown approves and adopts the 2024 tentative budget as of the 2024 preliminary budget. Such preliminary budget will be filed in the office of the town clerk where it will be available for public inspection. And the town board of the town of Princetown will meet on November 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Princetown Town Hall, Princetown Plaza, blah, 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 to hold a public hearing on the aforementioned preliminary budget. The town clerk shall give legal notice in the Daily Gazette of the public hearing at least 5 days prior to the public hearing. The public notice shall also be posted on the town's website at least 5 days prior to the meeting. Discussion?
Discussion in regards to this, because of the extremely high inflation the last 2 years, we are providing all our employees with a raise this year in this budget. And rightfully so, they all deserve it. With that, I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Crystal?
Councilman Spaulding?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, resolution passed. General funds claims, hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 174 through 185 in the amount of $13,519.52. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kristen?
Councilman Goldie?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, resolution passes. Water funds claim is hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 115 through 124 in the amount of $4,152.72. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Crystal?
Councilman Goldie?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, resolution passes. Trust and agency fund claims, hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 12 through 13 in the amount of $499.67. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Kristen?
Councilman Goldie?
Yes.
Councilman Jackaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, resolution passes. Council member comments and discussion?
We had the home occupancy moratorium resolution. It wasn't in the agenda.
Oh, yeah,
We're gonna add
sure.
that in. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Everybody got a copy. Whereas the town board of the town of Princetown received a memo from the planning board chairman last modified on October 3rd, 2023, a copy of said memo being attached here too. And whereas said memo advised that no process for the review and approval of a home occupation application could be determined from the zoning law. And whereas the town board desires to review this matter and in the meantime desires to enact a temporary moratorium on any home occupation applications until such review is completed. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on the 14th day of November 2023 at a regular meeting of the town board at 165 Princetown Plaza, Schenectady, beginning at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing public comment on a proposed local law to enact a moratorium on the review of all zoning laws and applications related to home use occupations, enacted to expire 4 months from the date of enactment. Be it also resolved that the town clerk shall give legal notice in the Daily Gazette of this public hearing at least 5 days prior to the public hearing. The public notice shall also be posted on the town's website at least 5 days prior to the public hearing.
Does everybody understand what this is about?
So home occupation is when like a single family home wants to incorporate a business, like a daycare.
Yeah, it's not, it just came about because someone on, can I say that? Approached the planning board and wanted to do a repair business in a residential area on Vernon Drive.
Out of a garage.
He wanted to operate his garage. He has a used car business in Scotia, but he wants to have an employee come over to his house and repair cars at his house, which is on Vernon Drive, which I think the people of Vernon Drive are gonna be too acceptable to that.
Well, this was never the intent of this law. If you want to, knit Afghans for babies or whatever, and you want to do it in your house and have a business, fine. But if you want to do repair work out of a residential home and a residential garage, there's enough ambiguity built into this where we have to make a move on this. And we have to eliminate that ambiguity so that people understand that certain things are not going to be permitted in a home business operation.
So there's a list of things that he's supposed to comply with, but there's no way to, it's just hand him the list and he says, okay, but, there's no approval process for anything. So there's nothing that said, they're afraid that he could bring home like 10 cars to park in New York, you know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing, he can operate the business as long as he follows the conditions, but there's no way to enforce the conditions, anything like that. So the planning board wants to, or zoning review or whoever wants to, take a look at the law and try to figure out.
Do we have a home occupation law?
Yes.
In our zoning?
So that's what I'm saying, like, there's a list of things that they have to comply with, but there's no,
And that's on this.
there's no way
Scott,
to enforce.
dual Article 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Apparently Article 8 doesn't have, doesn't base everything on Article 7. From what I understand, the planning board chair has been discussing it with me along with
things are not crystal clear, that's the problem. Anytime you have laws like that, you got problems, and we got a problem.
We don't care about people, like you said, knitting or babysitting.
Well, they have some of that baking on here.
Right, you can want to bake cookies or
That's not a
whatever.
nuisance to other people.
Yeah, just-
I see what you're saying.
Working from home, something like out of your office.
Right.
So we gotta tighten it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Is there a motion?
We should get you a stand.
Is there a motion?
I'll
Chris?
make it.
Is there a second?
I'll say,
Chris?
Councilman Capaldi?
yes.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Council members, comments or discussion? Ben, you got anything else?
I said 99% of what I wanted to say. There's one other thing. So I've been working with Spectrum, and I got a call from somebody who does site surveys saying, I have to come out to see about putting fiber optics or whatever it's called. I was like, we're not doing that, we're just upgrading the phone system. So he said, I'll call you back later, and so I'm waiting for him to call back. So there was some miscommunication, which I'll take care of. I don't know when we're getting the phones, but it'll probably be a while.
Okay.
Forget Spectrum.
Jim, you got anything?
No, I don't want to belabor the solar point, but the reality is this, that everything and everybody must comply to the financial laws of supply and demand. And when you have national and state government artificially increasing demand for electricity, when supply is not adequate, trust me, the thing that follows next is price increases. And like I said, you're gonna see electric bills of $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 a month. Trust me, that's coming, unless state and local governments calm down a little bit about this stuff.
If I'm not mistaken, California already passed a law that you can only have electric vehicles, and I think it's 2035. And I think New York already, did they follow suit on this? I think they did.
I think by a certain year, it's.
Yes, I think it was 2035, you can't buy anything but an electric vehicle in New York.
New vehicles, I'm assuming you can still get
Yeah.
used.
So what am I gonna do with all my tractors?
They're gonna have to trade them in for electric. Now,
I
they're
got-
still gonna have gas, see, they can't take that away, but they're not gonna sell anymore.
I got 7 tractors, a backhoe, track hoe, dump truck,
Put a
2
battery
diesel
in there.
trucks.
But, so that's.
My electric bill's over 500 a
And
month.
if anybody really wants to know, about this electric over here, that's all you gotta do is look up real time and see how much solar and wind produces. I think it's 1.5%.
It's almost nothing.
It's almost nothing. But they're doing this, and I've said it before. You're taking good farmland away, and what are you doing with it? Try eating solar panels.
Okay, you got a track hoe, you're up north, where there's no power,
No.
okay? What do?
Tell
Turn
that-
it into a current bush,
Tell that to the people that make the laws. They sit there and make these laws.
and then they wanna take firewood out. What do the people up north do? Where I hunt, they all heat their houses with wood. And you can't buy a wood stove today.
No, you
So
can't.
where's this country going? They're
All
going
electrics,
senile.
all electric, so you
They're
can charge
going
$1,500 a month for
Where are they gonna
electricity.
get it up north? There ain't even power poles up there, okay? Where I hunt, there's no power pole. You can go down Route 8 and Route 10, and there is no power poles on the road.
Well, that's what they want.
People eat with
This is
wood.
this is what this state wants. It's not all states. It's what this state wants, California wants. That's what it is.
I always picture George S. Patton on the battlefield, and one of his generals says, you know what, our batteries are all dead in the tanks, what do we do?
Plug it in a current board.
Yeah.
Okay, any other things? Nicole? Doug? Okay, we have to go in an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Is there a motion to,
I'll make it.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Capaldi?
Yes.
Councilman Jack Russo? Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Moore?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Thank you all for coming. If you want to stick around till after our executive session, you're more than welcome to. But thank you all for coming.